everyone. Welcome. So grateful for all of you being here. Today, we are talking about the hidden cost of resentment. And resentment is huge. I actually didn't know what resentment was later in my life, like up until a couple of years ago. And the way that I see resentment is we have an idea of how something should be or how someone should behave. And when they're not acting in accordance to the way that we decided they should be in our minds or the way that things should be in our minds, then we hold bitterness or anger or resentment towards them. And so tonight is the idea of the call tonight is to help you reclaim your power so that you no longer have to carry those feelings of resentment within your body and that you can take your power back. So that's what the premise of tonight's call is. I'm going to go ahead and get started, dive right in here. Like I mentioned, the hidden cost of resentment, why you can't just let go and what your nervous system is actually doing instead. I really just love to provide information to people so that they can see it almost like a mirror, see where things are unresolved within themselves so that they can free themselves and let go. You're not just going to learn about resentment today, you're going to notice where it's hiding within you, and then therefore you can let it go. So we'll write out a few things. So if you have a pen and paper beside you or some sort of way to write things down, I would encourage you to grab that now. I'm going to invite you to feel where some things might be within your body. We'll take a moment to pause because the pause and the silence is ultimately where all of our answers are. The thing is, most people don't take time to actually get still and silent. Just before hosting tonight's call, I actually went paddleboarding and I love to lay down on my paddleboard in the middle of the lake or the river and just receive answers. So if you aren't already doing that, some sort of way to get still and quiet to hear the answers within yourself, I really strongly encourage you to do that. And then we'll do a little bit of reflection so that you're not just coming today to receive information, you're coming today with a new perspective on the way that you can think and feel throughout life. So I want to thank you all for being here. My name is Cass Henry. You can find me anywhere pretty much at _Cass Henry, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of that kind of fun stuff. I also have a podcast. So resentment. I feel like we all need to learn this the hard way, and the hard way as in by going through it and feeling the feelings and realizing, oh, I don't like the way that this feels. Is there an alternative? Now, the thing is, so many people think that this is just how it is. This is just how I am. But that's not actually how it is. I battled with suicidal depression, anxiety, binge drinking, binge eating, binge spending, abusive relationships for so long until I realized I don't actually have to stay this way. I can change at any time and let those emotions go. I only knew that by learning neurolinguistic programming and hypnosis, and that's what I'm a master in today, is really helping people resolve the negative emotions that are within their body, their mind, and their nervous system so that they can become emotionally free. Because when you are emotionally free, everything becomes possible. And what I imagine, and I'd love for you to drop in the chat, what is the one thing that you ultimately want the most? For me, what I realize now is I ultimately want peace. I just want peace. Anything that will allow me to feel peace within my body, my mind is what I want. If anything takes away from my peace, then it's an absolute no-go. So resentment, it doesn't only point at other people, it sometimes points back at ourselves too. Sometimes we can also resent ourselves for decisions that we made in our past that we aren't super happy about. So I'm curious, what is the one thing that you would love to feel or walk away from on a more regular basis? What sort of emotion are you hoping to feel? If maybe currently you have unresolved anger or resentment or sadness within your body, what would you love to feel instead?
I would say, oh, do you want us to tell you what we're trying to let go?
Yeah, go for it.
I think I hold on to resentment. I don't know what the opposite of that is. I feel like I clear it out and then something will come up again that will bring up new resentments, or it's like that resentment hasn't fully gone, or I've forgiven for certain things, but then something else keeps happening. I guess it's something to do with a boundary to do with that person that I keep getting resentful at. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if it keeps coming up, that's actually really great news because it means that your subconscious mind is ready to resolve it. So unresolved negative emotion and limiting beliefs will stay dormant until we bring it to the conscious awareness. So the fact that it's starting to come up means that's really great. become aware of it. Ask yourself, what story am I telling myself around this? What emotion is there? And then you can also ask yourself, what is this trying to show me about me? And then the oftentimes that's enough for you to resolve it, especially because you and I have done so much work in the
Yeah.
unconscious part of it. It just means that it's starting to more of it's starting to rise, and you can almost like, have you ever been to a carnival or a fair and they had these balloons on the wall and you take a dart and you just hit the dart with them, you hit the balloon with the dart and
Yeah.
you just keep going at it? That's the way that I see these unresolved negative emotions for you, is you just imagine that each one of them you're taking a dart and you're hitting the balloon with it and you're just going at it, because at this point it's coming up to be resolved and it's really ready to just let it go.
Okay.
Yeah, I love when visuals come in there. Tari says peace achieved through justice. Yeah. So sometimes I'll touch on that. Sometimes if we're waiting to feel peace when we receive justice, we may be waiting a long time and sometimes even forever. So if we can just decide to feel peace within ourselves, even if we don't get the justice that we may deserve, that is allowing ourselves to become handcuff free from that situation. Ultimately, we want to feel peace within us and give ourselves the permission to do. Sometimes people ask themselves, like, why am I like this? They might think that they're just an angry person or not happy, or maybe they're just, yeah, not a very happy person. That's a real question that's underneath the resentment. And by the end of today, you'll actually have an answer. And better yet, another question, instead of saying, why am I like this? Because the unconscious mind will always find an answer. Instead, a better question to ask yourself is, how do I become free? How do I become free? How do I feel more peace in my body, in my mind, and in my life? Even for me lately, I want to feel more adventure. I want to go out and do more adventurous, more things that make me feel even more alive. So instead of saying, why don't people want to hang out with me, for example, instead I'll say, what can I do to go out and create adventure for myself? That's just one simple reframe. The unconscious mind will always find an answer for the question that you're asking. And so it's really important to create really empowering questions for yourself. So resentment is not something that you have. It's something that your nervous system learned to keep it alive, to protect you, so that you no longer continuously feel pain and hurt from a situation. Resentment is really just anger that never got to finish its sentence. So let's say you have needs, wants, and desires or requests that you want fulfilled, maybe by someone else or something else, but you haven't really fully spoken up for yourself or done it in a way that would really allow you to have what you want. Or even you didn't speak up for it and then you're settling because you are too afraid to speak up for yourself and ask or demand for what you want or what you know that you deserve. That's when resentment starts to happen. So I'll give you an example. I was dating someone a long time ago, and at nighttime I would just lay there and I would be like super upset with this person, like almost like sending anger at them, because I'm like, I just want to cuddle. I just want to cuddle with you. And why don't you want to cuddle with me? And I had expressed my wants and needs and desires in the past, but this person wasn't like taking initiative. And it was nothing big. I'm like, we talked in the past. I like to just spend some intimate time with you, and I would love for you to initiate. And then when it wasn't happening, instead of me bringing it up again, I would just lay there and just send anger at that person and just be like, I'm so mad at you. Why aren't you doing this? And that not only probably made him feel not good, because everyone can feel your energy, but it also made me feel really yucky inside. It made me feel like almost like soiled inside. So sometimes when people aren't doing the things that we really want them to do, instead of going out and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, to be like, hey, like I would really love that moment with you. Instead, we do the opposite and just really get angry at them or hold it in, and then we just shoot ill will their way. Not because we want to hurt them, but because sometimes we're afraid of being rejected or hurt. So we don't speak up our needs, and then we just feel resentment on the inside. Is this landing? Does anyone feel like they might do this in some areas, that they don't speak up their needs or wants or desires because they don't want to be vulnerable, or they don't want to have to repeat themselves again, or they fear they might not get what they want? Sometimes also
Yes.
this, yeah, yeah. Sometimes this also happens in relationships, when we are in a relationship with someone and we realize maybe they just aren't that person. give us the things that we really want and desire, and then sometimes we're with them for so long that we don't want to make the decision to leave if they may not ever meet our needs. And so that's a really tricky place to be in sometimes, because even though our intuition might be telling us to leave or move on or speak our needs, we may not want to do that because we're afraid. Is anything specific coming up for any of you right now that you would like to have a reframe for?
Yeah, I think for what I was talking about before, and obviously, you know, a little bit of the backstory, but things keep coming up, and I've had a couple aha moments within the last couple days, but now I didn't really, I don't know if I was pushing it down or just not listening to it. And then you just said something that kind of things started to click. I really haven't told this person about how they're hurting me because they can dish it out, but they can't take it. But everything that you said makes sense. And I think it would be more fair to both of us instead of just ignoring their call to just say, hey, look, I'm hurt by X, Y, and Z. I don't want to be resentful anymore. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. That's why I haven't said anything because I don't think it's going to be, I think it's just going to be deflected back to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and so there you have a couple options here. These are two that are coming up for me right away. You can do something called perceptual positioning. That's what we do in NLP, is you can imagine that person is sitting in front of you and you can tell them everything that you want to say to them so that it gets out of your nervous system, it gets out of your mind, and you can imagine that they are then speaking back to you in a way that you would hope that they would, trying not to control what you think that they would say. Or you could just say, you could express to them, this is how I'm feeling. Really avoid telling them that they're making you feel a certain way, because then again, you're
Right,
giving them your power. But just say, hey, this is what's coming up for me. This is how I'm feeling. And this is what I'm going to choose in my life moving forward in this phase of my life so that I can achieve peace within myself, because that's most important for me right now. And then
right,
that kind of doesn't even leave an open conversation. That kind of it's like a statement, and it doesn't even allow them to come back if you don't want them to come back. If you want an open dialogue, then you can, there's another angle, but it's completely up to you the way that you want to approach it. But get in your power, stand in your power, ask yourself, what do I ultimately want to achieve in the end? And if that's peace within yourself, then I think you'll know the proper route to take here. Sounds good?
yeah, thank you, Cass.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're patterned human beings. Your brain and your nervous system got really good at repeating what's familiar, even when it hurts. So think of your nervous system like a smoke detector. It's not trying to ruin your night by waking you up and disrupting your sleep. It's just trying to keep you safe even over a little smoke that isn't fire, right? I used to cook all the time and set off the fire alarm, and I'm like, relax, there's no fire. But it was just doing a really good job at keeping me safe. And that's what happens in a lot of people's nervous systems, is the smoke alarm is very sensitive because they have unresolved negative emotion from the past that keeps firing and wiring on repetition out of habit. And so really paying attention to when your nervous system fires off and sends you emotional signals of, I don't feel safe right now, I feel upset, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling maybe triggered in this moment. And then ask yourself, okay, what was happening in my mind just before that happened? Almost as if you're like, okay, I was just cooking and therefore the smoke alarm went off. Same thing for your nervous system. What was I just thinking or saying to myself that caused me to put myself into an upset state? Because yes, someone's words can absolutely put you into a state where you're feeling upset. However, it's still you saying something about what they're saying that is causing you to put yourself into a state of upset. And that took me a really long time to wrap my head around. And part of me was resistant to that in the very beginning because I was like, no, for sure they're making me mad. For sure they hurt me. But then when I stepped back, I was like, oh, I'm only upset because a part of me actually believes what they're saying to me. And so when someone would say you're selfish or you're ugly or you're fat or something like that, part of me actually did believe that. So it made me feel upset. Now that I've resolved those parts of me, if someone was to say that to me, it wouldn't upset me in the same way anymore because that doesn't feel true for me anymore. So this is how a single moment becomes a pattern in our nervous system. So something happens, there's an event. Any sort of event can happen. You can even stub your toe. Following the event, you have an emotion, an emotional response. You create a meaning around it, or even vice versa. I would actually reverse these two. An event would happen, you give it a meaning, and then you have an emotion from that. So let's say I stub my toe, and I'm like, and I get really, I'm like, who put that chair there? That chair shouldn't be there. And then all of a sudden I'm blaming the chair. Now I'm looking to blame somebody else, and now I feel angry. The same situation could have happened. I could have stubbed my toe and I could have laughed and I could have thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. I literally saw the chair, yet I still stubbed my toe. The exact same event is happening, but I'm telling myself something different and therefore I'm feeling something different. But when we're young, we create a belief around those situations, and then the brain creates protection so that you don't continuously risk feeling that way again. And then it repeats the pattern over and over again. So what we do in neurolinguistic programming and the work that I do with my clients is we go back to the original event where you decided to create a meaning about something or someone, whether that's your parent or a sibling or yourself. And then we can actually change the meaning that you assigned back when you were younger so that it takes away that emotional charge, and you actually get really beautiful lessons and learnings from it because you get to see it from a different vantage point this time. It's a really amazing process, and every single one of my clients that I work with walk away with so much peace and relief, and it really just allows them to connect the dots and see their life through a different set of eyes. When we repeat a pattern, it becomes your identity and becomes your personality, and that ultimately shapes your entire life. So, any single event that might have happened in your childhood is ultimately what is shaping your life today. So, you might think that it's something that someone, a boss or a partner or a stranger on the street, is saying to you now or doing to you now, but it has nothing to do with the now unless you cleared out stuff from the past. It's all pulling from the past. So until you go back and clear up the past, you're going to create life from then. And I was shocked by this too. And I was like, how can that be? Until I cleared it out, I was like, oh my gosh, because whatever happens in our childhood, we go and collect evidence to support that's true. So we're literally deleting, distorting, and generalizing information to make it match that filtering system. It really is incredible how we're built. Yeah, it is crazy. It's really incredible how we are built. Because once you know that to be true, you'll even be able to sit back and be like, okay, where have I collected evidence to show that I'm not good enough, that I'm not lovable, that I'm not capable, that I can't do it? And it's, oh my gosh, was it actually true? No. And had I had a different belief, I wouldn't have felt that way. Maybe I would have made different choices. And so the sooner that we can do this in our life, the better off we are, because then we can create changes now moving forward instead of another 10 years goes by wishing that we had done this work sooner. We can change our identity at any moment. It's by going back into the past, resolving limiting emotions and limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves and the world around us. And that's how your life changes. Because you can try and change your behavior all you want, or try and change other people, or try and change your emotion, but it's not going to change long lasting, long term until you actually go back to the past and resolve that. And this is not like a thinking process. This is not something that you can think up on your own. If that were possible, if we could just consciously think, okay, what is a time in my life where I decided this? It can't happen because then our subconscious mind wouldn't be very good at protecting us and keeping us alive. It has to be sneaky. It has to be really good at keeping those beliefs hidden so that we can't just go in and change them easily. That's why there's practitioners such as myself to help people, to help move people through that journey. Kids, like when we're kids, don't think in these complex ways. They don't think, oh my gosh, my parents are just really emotionally overwhelmed right now. They can't zoom out like that. They think something way simpler and it sticks. It cements within them. Things like, I'm not enough. I don't matter. I'm not important. I have to earn love. I'm unsafe and I have to protect myself. Those are just a few. Yeah, Sylvia, do you have a question?
It's not a question, it's a comment actually. I like the fact that you mentioned that we need to look for the root cause of our problem. I would say that personally, for me, I used to think that I had to be perfect to survive and I had to fix everything because I don't like chaos. But those are like the false beliefs I had. And since I realized it was one of the root causes, my life is much better.
Yes, yes. And I feel the peace coming from you, like the weight is lifted off your chest and your shoulders. Is that how you feel now?
Yeah, it's much better than before.
Yes. So when we feel like we have to be perfect, that's why a lot of people go into a state of depression and identity crisis and they fall apart. They go into burnout because nobody can be perfect. And if we feel like the only way to be loved and to fit in and to belong is to be perfect, it's never something that can be achieved because the marker keeps moving.
And what I realized is that you can get abused for that because you're a fixer, you're a perfectionist. That's a big something that I realized recently. I don't know if it's too late. I don't think it's ever too late, but
No.
I had like, big realizations about that, and I will never be like this again because it hurts.
Yes, people will go into pleasing tendencies. They will totally self-abandon themselves. They will let people take advantage of them. And it's not that you're letting them per se, but it's what we think that we deserve. So we will fully abandon who we are, what our wants, our needs, our desires, our values, so that we receive love and connection because that's what we are hardwired to need and want as human beings. So it makes sense that you're saying that, Sylvia.
I'm not sure about the people pleasing thing. Maybe it is people pleasing, but it was a way for me to survive.
Mm-hmm.
I had to stop once I realized I was getting abused.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted peace
Yeah.
by using these tools like being perfect, being a fixer. But then I realized that I was going to burn out. Maybe I'm burnout. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you
So
mentioned peace is important, but also freedom.
exactly. That's why I tell people I'm an emotional freedom coach because when we have that, when we have peace, when we have emotional freedom, everything stems from there. I was in an abusive relationship for 5 years and many prior to that. And I kept just letting people be mean to me because I thought that's what I deserved and that I didn't think there was anything better out there. So I just took what I could get until I realized I would rather do anything else other than to be abused by someone ever again. And then I realized, wow, I can actually feel so much peace and love and belonging without having to get it from someone, and especially someone who is abusing me. And then I went on a journey. One year I called it my surrender experiment to really start to rewire my brain, my identity, my nervous system so that I could figure out why I kept attracting those kind of people. And it wasn't their fault. There's no faults here. It's just what we think we deserve based off of what who we had to be growing up and what we were modeled and things like that. And it kind of brings up Tari's comment saying that the government needs to give people licenses to have kids. And you know what? A lot of people, yeah, a lot of people definitely shouldn't have kids in many ways. And there's some people who do feel like they really are trying. I've had many clients that they come to me and they don't actually realize that they are verbally or emotionally abusing their children because they're just repeating the exact same cycles that their parents did to them. And then when they zoom out and they realize that they've been abusing their children in those ways, and I'm not talking physically, and I'm not talking like horrendous abuse here, but even just subtle ways of putting someone down in a way to try and get control can be a form of abuse. So a lot of people don't actually know what they don't know. They don't know the language that they're doing because so many people are just sleepwalking through life. They just are walking without realizing what they're thinking, feeling, saying to other people. And so I feel like something even above that, Tari, is to make this a non-negotiable that every single person has to go through this kind of work in childhood, in adolescence, in adulthood before they can really just go out into the world. This needs to be fundamentals and foundations, but for some reason it's just not taught that way. So we can just really hope that once we know better, we do better and we continue to strive to be better. Yeah. So I would love for you to all just take a moment. If there is something in your life that you want right now that but you don't have it yet, whether if that's peace and currently you're in a state of resentment or anger or frustration or bitterness, ask yourself, what would I want instead? And then the question here, the prompt here is the belief I probably formed as a child was. And I know Sylvia brought up that she felt like she needed to be perfect. She felt like she needed to be the fixer and make sure that there was no chaos in her environment so that she could feel safe. So if I can control everything outside of me and make sure that everything is good, then I can feel peace within my body. And that's why a lot of people will experience burnout because we can't actually control other people and our external circumstances as much as we hope that we can. And so we burn out by trying to control. But when we turn that inward and just focus on creating peace within ourselves, then you'll see that things just naturally fall to the wayside and things will actually change externally by focusing within. So I'm just going to pause for a moment and I'm going to invite you to write out the sentence, the belief I probably formed as a child was, and just whatever comes to you. I'm just going to be quiet for the next minute. And if you get your belief, feel free to pop it in the chat. If you have any questions, let me know. This is a non-thinking process to allow your unconscious mind to give you the answer. Something that Tony Robbins asks often is, whose love did you crave the most as a child, your mother or your father? And the reason he asks that is then his second question to that is, who did you have to be to receive their love? So for me growing up, I craved my dad's love the most because that's the love that I didn't get. And so I felt like I needed to be perfect. I needed to just obey, don't be in the way, just be this flowy person, go with the flow, kind of like a chameleon. Be whoever he needed me to be. If he needed me to be nice or happy or just quiet or not in the way, I was just that. He was in and out of jail, in and out of addictions. And so I thought that was my fault because it kind of all started again when I was born. And so I thought, okay, I need to be perfect so that he will stop doing those things. And I carried that all the way into my adulthood without even realizing it. So when I went back to realize, okay, I struggle with depression, drinking, not wanting to be on the planet anymore, anxiety, chronic migraines, and I even was in abusive relationships, it all stemmed back to that. And then when I shined a light on that, I was like, that is such bullshit. That could be further from the truth. None of that is my fault. Everyone operates at their own free will. And so by doing that process, and I'm explaining it more simply, but I went to a Tony Robbins event and it was really phenomenal. But when I started to uncover the beliefs that were actually driving all my behavior, that's when I became free. That's when I became free. And had I not done that work, I really don't think that I would be here where I am today. I think I would still be really severely suffering. So every time you remember something, you relive it. Anything that's unresolved from the past, or anything really in the past. If you were to close your eyes right now and think about a time in your past that brought you so much love and gratitude, then you would feel moments of love and gratitude. That's why they say to practice gratitude every single day so that your body can feel it, and then therefore it's going to bring in more love and gratitude into your life. But if you're constantly going back into the past, replaying certain conversations or behaviors or situations that harmed you, your body's going to feel as if that's happening now. It's wiring the same neurological pathways. The same chemicals are being released as if it happened then, and your body responds to it as if it's happening now. That's why I don't necessarily love talk therapy, because if you keep talking about your problems, you're really just reinforcing that. And so the work that I do with my clients, we don't talk about it, we just go and resolve it. It's like continuously hitting replay on the same scene over and over again. Yeah. Tari says I learned adults suck. I mean, there's some adults that definitely need to do some work on themselves, and we can just pray for them that they would want to do the work. And there's some adults that are really amazing. And yeah, feeling like we need to do it all because no one's going to do it for us. Needing to do it all, as in taking, like, creating the emotional freedom within ourselves. But I do invite you to make sure that's not a blanket statement, to know that you can still ask for help, okay? Because that's really important. When we create beliefs like that, we want to make sure that we're not creating a blanketed belief around everything in our life. Oh, that's one that you cleared. Oh, okay, amazing. Good, good. Yeah, because feeling like you have to do everything on your own is really, really detrimental. And I feel like a lot of women are actually hardwired to believe that from past generations, because back in the day, the women would do everything, take care of the house and the kids, but now we also have to work. And so it's very unrealistic to think that we can do it all. So your body can become more familiar with stress than peace. I learned being poor is wrong. I was adopted internationally and I was an orphan. Yeah, I learned being poor is wrong. Yeah, if a belief isn't serving us, then we can change it. We can change it. Ask yourself, how does this belief make me feel in my body? And if it's not a helpful feeling to have on repetition, then give yourself the permission to change it, whatever that looks like. So your body can become familiar with stress. There's so many, I wish I had the statistics off the top of my head. I imagine it's extremely high of the people that are operating at a stress versus peace. It's like a habit, and people feel like they have to constantly be in a state of stress. When I was needing to move out of my old rental house and into a new house because my landlord was selling my house, I was just like, okay, wherever I'm meant to be is where I'm meant to be, and it's gonna turn up in the perfect time. Is that sometimes irresponsible? Maybe. Maybe because I don't really focus on details. But do I trust fully that everything works out in divine timing? Yes. Do you know what a lot of people around me in my life said? Cass, you should be so stressed out. You should be so stressed out. I'm like, that's interesting. I really love that you're projecting your fears onto me, but I do not accept and I do not feel like I need to be stressed because I have fundamental beliefs, systems, that everything works out for me in divine, perfect timing. Whatever's meant for me will come in at perfect timing. Does that stress some people out? Yeah, but that's them. That's not me. Some people feel like they know that they should move on from something that might have happened in their past, but they feel like they can't. And so that means that you're still tethered to the thing that happened in the past, and I can help you cut that tie. Really easy. I'll talk about that at the very end. But we need to start cutting those energetic ties. But guess what? A lot of people don't actually want to let go of resentment because the person or the situation didn't have the justice that they feel like that should happen in order to move on. So they're actually staying tethered energetically to that situation until justice happens. And I really feel that for those people that are in this situation, and I was there before until I realized that was actually costing me my peace. And that's the one thing that I said at the very beginning of the call, that peace is the most important thing for me in my life. So the stress is not just in your head, okay? It's in your body. It might show up as a tight chest, a jaw, tension in your jaw, knots in your stomach, raised shoulders, like maybe if you feel like your shoulders are always up to your ears, headaches, like I mentioned, I had chronic migraines. I actually thought I had a brain tumor. I would go home from school every single day in elementary school and it carried into university, like into high school. Wow, looking back, it was elementary school, high school, and some university. That's a long time to be chronically stressed. Yeah, Tari says resentment and anger is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. 100%. Shallow breathing also happens. So when I cleared out anger and resentment from my body, I was actually able to finally get deep breaths, and I haven't been able to do that since I was a child. And then it also causes chronic fatigue or chronic pain. Yeah. Sylvia, did you have a question?
Another comment. I just
Yeah.
want to say that getting out of traumas, sometimes it's really rough. You're transitioning into peace, but it doesn't feel like peace at all. It feels like war. It's uncomfortable. It's scary. But yeah, it's you have to go through this. I'm speaking from my experience.
Yes, yes. And when I teach workshops in my program, Worthy and Free, and whenever I speak with my clients, I talk about the turbulence. You have to go through the storm. But when you reframe what the storm is, you know that when you have to go through the storm to evolve and move through it and learn the lessons that you're meant to, unfortunately, we do have to go through that storm that Sylvia is talking about. But you know that on the other side is healing and peace, but most people are afraid of the storm or they feel like the storm is going to last forever.
It comes by waves.
Yes.
You think you're fine for a moment and then it comes back. It
Yes.
takes time and
Yeah,
strength.
absolutely, absolutely. And you know what's beautiful about it is when we allow ourselves to feel it and witness it and be with it and ask it, okay, what are you here to show me? What lesson am I meant to learn? What am I still meant to release here? Then we can move through it so much faster. But a lot of people will numb it out with drugs, alcohol, food, social media, sex, relationships, spending. And then that's why they stay in this perpetual loop for far too long. And so the faster that we can allow ourselves and give ourselves the permission to sit in the storm, and it doesn't feel good. Just like Sylvie said, it doesn't feel good. I had to put my dog down a few weeks ago, almost a month now, and I grieved for 3 weeks before knowing that I had to put her down. And I went out every single day pretty much and I cried. I just let it out. I said, okay, what story am I telling myself? And I literally thought of all the sad things to be sad about because I just wanted to release the emotions from my body so that I could feel it. I really just wanted to feel it. And I knew that I wanted to do that through movement. So I do that by walking. I just put on my sunglasses. I call them grief walks or release walks. And I just go and I just let it out. And so I really do invite people that when they feel like there's a storm within them, to feel it, to be with it, and to know that on the other side is freedom and peace. Yeah. Okay. So anyone want to let's release something here while you're on the call. I have far too many slides today, so I'm not even halfway through my slides. We have about 15 minutes left, but I really want to allow you to feel some release here. So raise your hand or put in the chat me if there's something that you know is within your body right now and you're ready and willing and wanting to let it go. Yeah, we have one me. Okay, good. Okay. So I'm just going to invite you all to close your eyes. I'll just do a little mini meditation of letting go. It'll just be a few minutes. And I always go there. I always go there with you. So I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes and I invite you all to close down your eyes now as well. Just close your eyes and take a breath in through your nose. Hold it at the top and then release through the mouth. And again in through the nose. Hold it and release it. And I just want you to bring to mind a moment, a person or a situation that you're ready to just let go of that now, just to cut that energetic tie so that you can achieve a state of peace and freedom. Whatever your unconscious mind wants to show to you right now is perfect for you. And I want you to just notice where you feel it in your body. You feel it in your jaw, your chest, stomach, shoulders. Is there a tightness in your back? Do you feel pressure in your head? Just notice where, when you think of that situation or person, just notice where that's showing up in your body. Breathe energy and breath into that space and really just acknowledge its presence. And just thank that part of you for trying to protect you. It was sounding the alarm. It was sounding the smoke alarm to show you that there was still something unresolved within you. It was trying to get your attention, and that's why it was showing up in your body in those ways. Just on every inhale, send breath and love into that space and let it go. And on your next inhale, I invite you to open up the crown of your head and allow a warm golden light to pour into the top of your head. Breathe it in, allow it to pour all throughout your body, sending healing, love, light, and release into all those areas of tension into your body. That's right, allowing it to go in through your head, into your face, your neck, your jaw, your shoulders, down into your arms. That warm golden light now going into your chest, your stomach, back, all the way down into your glutes, your legs, your calves, thighs, all the way down into your feet and down to the core of the earth. And allow it to just circulate all throughout your body, and even sending that light outside of your body to every single person on this call today. All the people who are watching the replay, all the people you know and don't know in the world, and just really send it out. Breathe it in and exhale. Just know that on every single inhale, you're breathing in peace, love, light, and healing. And I want you to just bring to mind that person or situation now, and ready, whenever you are ready, and only when you're ready, I want you to cut that energetic tie between you and them. Because you want to take back your power, you want to take back what's yours, and you just want to let that go now. So whenever it feels good for you, just go ahead and cut it. You can do it with a machete or scissors, or just imagine that it's releasing now. Take back everything that's yours, all your power, your strength, your love, your health, your healing, your abundance, and give it back to your body. And send it into your heart and allow it to spiral all throughout your body. That's right. And we'll do 2 more breaths in here together. Breathe in through your nose. Exhale and just let it go. And 1 more. Breathe in peace, love, healing, strength. And let out anything else that's lingering and no longer serving you. And just notice now the space where that once was. And just fill that space now with love and light. And if it feels good to do so, go ahead and put your hands on your heart. And just feel your heart beating and thank your heart for beating for you. There's nothing you have to do for your heart to beat for you. It just beats naturally for you. It keeps you alive. Go ahead and be grateful for your heart. Thank you, heart. Thank you, body. I love you. Thank you. 1 more breath to just ground yourself back down into the present moment. And then when it feels good to do so, you can go ahead and open your eyes. Oh, I feel light and floaty right now. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, that felt very releasing. Good stuff. Okay. So your body remembered, even if your mind wanted to move on. And I want you to give yourself permission and compassion if there is still part of you that still wanted to hold on to that for some sort of reason. If a part of you is still holding on to it, then there's an invitation at the very end to go deeper with me, because there might be some sort of secondary gain. A part of you might feel like you're not worthy of feeling love, wholeness, connection, freedom, peace. These are some things that resentment quietly steals. Our peace, joy, confidence, presence, A lot of people actually reach out to me because they want to learn how to be in the present moment with their loved ones and with themselves. They check out emotionally often because they're constantly stressed and overwhelmed. Resentment steals trust, healthy relationships, energy. It steals our peace and creativity and business success. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that are holding themselves back and getting in their own ways. Resentment can quietly steal parenting, connection, freedom, joy. It's like a backpack that you've been wearing in every single room, every single day. You've been carrying it and continuing to add rocks into the backpack. Hopefully, that little mini meditation allowed you to take some things out of the body. Yeah, The Body Keeps the Score is a great book. Really great book. But I would honestly suggest skip the book and just do the work. I imagine you don't need to keep reading more and taking more information. If you're ready to let things go, then I invite you to let them go. Because of timing, I'm just going to invite you to write down this prompt and then fill this out on your own, okay? Because I've held on to resentment, I have lost blank. As soon as you're finished this call, set your timer for 5 to 10 minutes and allow yourself to write down the costs of resentment. Because if you're still choosing for some reason to hold on to it or any other unresolved negative emotion, just ask yourself, what is it costing you? I went to the mechanic today to get my car fixed. And I knew that I needed to get it fixed for since like April, and I kept putting it off until I almost got into a car accident on the highway because I almost lost control of my steering. And I was like, okay, that's enough. Enough is enough. I'm gonna go. And at that point, I really didn't care what it cost to fix my car because I really just wanted the peace of mind and knowing that I was driving a safe vehicle. I was like, I'm interested in knowing what's wrong with it, but I also don't care. Just tell me how much it costs. I'm willing to pay whatever I need to in order to get my car into a safe place. Because not only did I not want to injure myself, I didn't also want to injure someone else. And I kept missing out on really fun opportunities because my car wasn't safe to drive. So I invite you to really ask yourself, what have you missed out on and lost, and what is it costing you to still hold on to unresolved negative emotion from the past? These are some things that we hold on to or why we hold on to them. Underneath resentment is usually one of these things, and I invite you to take a picture if you want to ponder on this later on. Underneath resentment is usually one of these things. Maybe you didn't feel seen, heard, protected, or chosen. Maybe you didn't feel like you were respected when you were young. Maybe you felt like you weren't loved the way that you wanted or needed. Maybe you felt like you lost something or you weren't given what you deserved, or maybe you felt like you weren't safe. Children, I really feel for all of you. Everyone, every single person on the planet, I see every single one of them as their inner child. That's just how I see people. That's the way that I do my work, is I see people as their inner childs. Everyone is just a wounded inner child, and when we can finally talk to that inner child and bring resolution, love, and clear out the stuff from the past, then we can really fully step into the embodiment of being an adult. So I invite you to take a picture of this. A lot of the time, resentment is really just a mask, and resentment is actually trying to keep us safe and protect us from being hurt even more. Underneath it is actually usually grief. Maybe we resent a parent for not being the parent that we wanted them or thought that they should have been. And underneath that is really that we're just grieving the parent that we really wanted to have. Or it's sadness, right? It's like resentment is protection, like protective armor. But when we protect ourselves against pain, we're also protecting ourselves against pleasure as well. So healing, it doesn't pretend that it doesn't happen. We're not just letting people off the hook and pretending that we're fine. It just means that we're no longer allowing it to control our present moment. Tori, do you have like you said, how do you overcome that? Do you have something specifically?
Oh, when you said is the underlining thing is like grief or loss, fear or loss. So I'm wondering how do you overcome that? And my thing was basically I felt like I lost stuff. As I said, I'm an adoptee internationally, and then once I came here, I got separated from my siblings, and then we're adults, and then some other stuff happened. So it's like that's like my theme where I didn't have control as a kid.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being vulnerable and saying that as well. So until we have a conversation, and I'll invite you in the end to do that, we don't know what the inner child, like the little version of you decided in that moment. We don't know what she decided in the moment about what that situation meant. You might have decided that you weren't wanted and you were being just pushed around everywhere. And so you felt, well, nobody wants me. I don't belong here. I'm not saying that's how you feel, but it is a possibility. And so by having conversations and then really connecting within that inner child, we can see what that inner child of you decided, and then we can ask her, okay, what do you need to feel safe? What do you need to feel loved? What do we need to do in order to let go of that belief that we created when we were younger so we can be free now? Does that help to answer your question?
Yes. Yeah.
Good, good. And you can even if in the end you choose not to come and have this conversation with me, you can even close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and connect with your inner child and say, like, really just visualize that inner child of you. Put your hands on your heart and just breathe it in and say, hey, I'm here for you. What do you have to say? What would you like to say? What are you sad about? What are you hurt about? What did you choose to believe? So there's just some things that you can do on your own as well, but sometimes it can be really difficult to achieve that when we are using our thinking brain, our conscious mind, when it's actually a subconscious way of connecting. So take a picture of this slide, sit with these if you're willing. These are some prompts for you to ponder, and then if anyone is watching the replay, well, they'll just see this slide. But this can really help you uncover where it is and why it is that you're feeling resentment. I'll name off three of the questions if anyone is listening on the audio. Who still gets rent? Who still gets free rent in my mind? What has resentment already caused me? But I covered that before. Who are you still trying to prove something to? This is huge. I'm part of a weekly hiking club, and every single week I get to have these really great conversations with people on the hike. And a lot of people are in certain jobs or education or schooling or things like that in certain relationships because they're still trying to prove their worth to their parents. And what expectations were never met. I had a lot of resentment around my dad because I really grieved the dad that I really would have loved to have. And I was like, if he was any way else, then he would have been the dad that I really wish and crave that he had been. But he's not. And so I went through and actually grieved it, almost like a death. Sylvia had mentioned and before that sometimes going through those storms can feel really troubling, and it can actually feel like literal death. And it's scary and painful, but when we allow ourselves again to really feel it, then we can move forward instead of just pushing it down. So, resentment, and I'm about to tie up here or end the presentation. So, I appreciate all of you for being here. If you have a few extra minutes, I invite you to stay on. Resentment is really just one example of emotional baggage. What I help people do with my freedom method is to help people resolve all the negative emotion from the past so that you can be free. And I do that through the freedom method. I'm not going to spend time explaining it. You can actually get information on that at my website is casshenry.com/freedom. I think it's called the freedom method. Pretty sure. If someone clicks on the link, let me know if that's right. What we do when I work with my clients, both one-to-one and inside my program, Worthy and Free, is we heal your past, we master yourselves, and then you live freely. Master yourself essentially is you get to uncover who you actually are, authentically yourself. You learn how to trust yourself, and so on. And then from there, you can live freely. And then your body will feel safe enough to let go. It's almost like you'll live in a constant state of exhale. It's just like a constant state of peace. So, what I have right now in the summertime, and this is not something that I ever do, but I'm like, you know what? I really just want to help as many people as I can because I know a lot of people are suffering and struggling. And so I'm giving people the opportunity to have a one-off call with me for $111 so we can actually clear out an unresolved negative emotion. Tari, we can work through that inner child. Sylvia, if you're still struggling with what you're talking about before, if there's anything still lingering from the past storm, we can clear that out. Anyone that's watching on the replay, you can have the opportunity to do that with me. I offer that one time only, and then after that, I move in to working with my clients in a 10 session basis so that we can do the proper work so we can actually help you become free in all areas of your life instead of just doing quick fixes. I really don't like quick fixes or surface level. So you can take advantage of that call, or if you are actually curious about what it looks like to work with me in my 10 sessions so that you can fully clear out everything from the past and create freedom within yourself moving forward in your future, then I would love that as well. So, does anyone have any questions?
Thank
You're so welcome. You're so very welcome. I'm trying to pop that link in the chat, but I think if I oops. Oh, here we go. I just want to give you the link in case you're interested. Yeah, Alyssa says it works. Alyssa, do you have anything to say for anyone that's listening on the call?
Yeah, I did this with Cassandra. Oh my gosh, how long ago was it now? Maybe a year ago?
Yeah, it was last year, and then we finished up a few loose ends this year.
Yeah. Cass and I had randomly met. It's a long story. I invited her to help me clean out my basement because I was really depressed. And I thought, for whatever reason, I'm gonna get this all fixed up and I'm gonna be able to kind of move forward with everything. I had gone through about 8 months of really solid depression. I was just sleeping and crying every day. I was on a medical leave and going through recovery for substance abuse. And through having Cass come to help me clear out my basement, knowing that I just had too much on the go, we started talking about the sessions that she offers. And I had done this breakout session that she's talking about. And from there, I knew it was just life changing, the things that you can discover from your subconscious. I had no idea really what I was getting into, but we were talking about it and I was like, okay, this sounds like exactly what I need. And then I've continued to do sessions with Cass up until a few months ago. And the person I am today is a completely different person than I was a year and a half ago. So many things my life's changed completely and for the better. It's been really amazing.
It's incredible to continue to see your evolution in the things that you're manifesting in your life and the things that you're creating in your business and just I believe that I attract leaders into my life, the ones that are really meant to lead. I believe that God universe brings them to me so I can help them realize their worth, heal their past, and step into their divine purpose and passion. And by doing this work, every single person that works with me moves forward into that state of being that they're meant to. And so, if you're curious and want to have a conversation with me, I also do a free 30-minute clarity call if you just want to chat and see if this is right for you. So, reach out to me, send me a message. I would love to have that conversation. Everything is at casshenry.com. If you want to chat, it's casshenry.com/call. And like I said, I have that summer promo to have a call with me, see how it feels. Even just one call will bring you immense relief. Yeah, EMDR helped a lot too. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that timeline therapy is a lot like EMDR. I think you had said that, Alyssa, right?
Yeah, I was explaining what we did together to somebody else, and she's, that's EMDR. And I'm like, no, it's not EMDR. And I was explaining it. But from what I understood, is the EMDR was a lot more intrusive, like a lot longer of a process, I think. It just seemed like you have to sit in your trauma a lot quicker, or a lot longer. Whereas when we were doing the timeline therapy, everything was released really quickly. So it didn't feel like I was sitting in my pain and stuff like that. Yeah, it was very fast.
Yeah, I love the thing that I love most about timeline therapy is that we don't have to sit in the pain. We don't actually experience or go in and feel the pain. We sometimes we feel some emotion, but it's because certain things are clicking into place that it's oh my gosh. And then we get to have an emotional release and move on. I don't think that people have to relive their trauma in order to clear it out. That's just a belief that I have, and I stand by it because I haven't had to relive things in my past in order to let that go. So unless anyone has any more questions, I will release all of you back into your beautiful lives. I hope that this isn't the last time that we connect. I will be doing a meetup every single Monday, but if you are ready to let something go, I invite you to reach out to me because really we don't need more information and we don't need to read even more books. Sometimes we really just need to let it go. So if you came here today, I feel like that's a really good sign that you're ready to release it. So I'm sending all of you so much love and gratitude. Thanks for being here. Bye.